recording is live. We're back. It's been a few months since I reported a podcast, so I'm so excited to be back. And the timing and the synchronicity of this with your podcast studio just being built, dude, so excited for this episode and to catch up with you and drop in super deep.
Dude, what a time to be alive. Like, imagine how different our life is from the last time we did this in Austin, Texas.
Wow.
Like, it feels like a complete 180 for kind of the both of us. And in the best way possible, if that makes sense. Sometimes a 180 can be a good thing. But you are now taking this from Illinois, and I'm in my house recording this in a professional like, a lot has happened in what, 4 months maybe?
Not even. It's been like 3. That was before the first retreat too, which is wild. Like, to zoom out and realize, wow, that was only 3 months ago. It feels like over a year ago. But you've had this vision of a podcast studio for quite a long time, and now it's manifested. So tell me about it. Like, tell me about the studio. How did it manifest? Where did the vision come from? What does it feel like? What does it actually feel like to sit in there and know, like, this is my own house and my own creation?
Dude, it feels like a legit dream come true. Like I was telling you a little bit before the call, some people, when they think about making it in life, it's the car, it's the house, it's like a certain thing like that. For me, the materialistic side of that has been something like that ever since I was young. And it's unique because it's not really something that we're told we can do, but I always knew that, like, I was meant to be in media and be like expanding messaging to like the highest extent I possibly could to make the biggest impact possible. And back when I was young, I thought that would be like the one thing I did know really well, like personal finance, stuff like that. But after this whole like whirlwind of a spiritual journey, it's just so clear that it's meant to be about like personal development and consciousness. And yeah, it was a kind of a long process, but we kind of made it a long process. Elle and I, when we bought this house, we were like, okay, now it's time. And that was back in July. And she just put out a tweet about a podcast studio. And then she remembered that a person about a year prior to that reached out to her or made a post, saying like, hey, I create custom studios at people's houses for content, and I wanted to do one for someone who's an incredible community builder. And like a dozen people tagged her in it. And so as this idea was back on her mind, she remembered that. And we just got in contact with that guy. His name's Kevin from Dream Studio. He has an entire just team of high quality people that it's all like a done for you thing. And we engaged and partially paid for the whole thing. But then we had this long gap of time where we just didn't respond to their emails. It was so wild because now I can look at it from a clear lens. We weren't emotionally ready for what we knew would take place once we actually took this step. Like, it was less about the money or anything else. It was more about like, oh my gosh, if we actually build this and this is part of our house and we have no friction, no excuse to make the impact we want to make in the world and become the person necessary that her and I both have this shared vision of becoming, we can no longer blame it on not having the right setup, the right 3D material things to make it happen. And so it was wild, man. It was a wild journey. And so we probably had like 3 months where we just didn't respond to them. We kind of ghosted them, which was weird after we sent like a lot of money. But then we picked back up and they're like, yep, sounds good. Okay. And so it was a process, but much worth it. And as long as we have this house, we're going to be using the crap out of the studio, probably like multiple hours every single day, hosting our gratitude calls that we do every morning, filming content that is, other people at the studio. You can only see this big kind of love seat, but there's 4 people that can fit. There's a bunch of like swivel chairs next to it. Kind of is only one half of it, but we're gonna have people being interviewed all the time for our multiple podcasts, and then inevitably, I would love for it to be very much like personal development and spiritual type of show, like Brett Cooper is doing for politics, or even like Tucker Carlson or people like that, Russell Brand. I want to make it like that, but for topics that deeply matter to me. And so I feel like that's all coming the next handful of weeks as we build out the last kind of systems for it. And yeah, man, it's like, it feels like a big piece of symbolism of us like we're ready now.
Mm.
And now it's time to really scale and build, make the impact we know we're meant to build. We're meant to make. So yeah, man, it's been a wild journey, but this is really just the beginning. We're so excited for it.
It's beautiful. I'm so excited for you guys. I saw the tweet and the Instagram post, and I was like, this is incredible. Because at your house 3 months ago, you showed me, you're like, yeah, this is the room that's going to be the podcast studio. And so I was like, okay, when is it going to happen? When is it going to happen? So tell me, like, those 3 months when you already made the payment, you start ghosting the guy. Like, was it a fear of moving forward, or what was the emotional process that had you avoiding it, even though the payment was already done? That's so interesting to me.
Yeah. And the more I've had time to reflect on it, I've realized we all have fear and we all have certain levels of fear. So I always knew that this with the podcast, with the legit media company and every single day was kind of inevitable, but it seemed so distant. And I knew all these things that kind of had to happen before then. The first step would be putting myself on camera for like basic YouTube videos on my phone and also writing a newsletter. And then I knew kind of the next step after that would be like legit coaching people for money and hosting retreats. And then the next step in the far distant future would be this. And the reason why we create steps like that is because they all require a certain level of emotional freedom. And so, you know, about a year ago, I was finally really free enough to write and step on camera. And then a handful of months later, after a lot of crying, a lot of emotional releases, a lot of just days where I didn't want to get out of bed, a lot of everything that I think we oftentimes go through before we take a big risk or big leap in life. I was just feeling that all the time. And that led to having the mental emotional freedom to be okay with putting myself out there like, hey, I have an offer for coaching. Would you like to do it? And hey, I'm going to be hosting this event. I'd love for you to come, paid, whatever it is. It takes a certain emotional readiness to get there. And that emotional readiness is really painful. But this step in particular of the media company and the studio, that's like the biggest step I think we've taken. Even though we've built momentum, this signifies us being ready for what we know what's going to come from it. And I know how this sounds, but like I understand it's going to come with a large audience and a lot of money in return. And for everlasting success, if it's meant to be, in true fulfillment, I feel as if this whole journey is just like kind of emotionally preparing you for that. And so the reason for that hesitancy was like, Elle and I'm not saying we're down bad, like we're still, you know, pretty high vibe and still living our life and serving others and a smile on our face, but we still have fear in our life towards this thing. Very much so. And definitely helped a little bit when we, you know, listen before the podcast. We were actually on camera all the time, stuff like that. But it just took little steps pretty much every day to this to the point where we felt ready in our nervous system to be able to take on this leap, which I know will end with, you know, a lot of exposure with a lot of people, you know, loving us, a lot of people hating on us, a lot of people just having opinions. And it takes a lot of freedom to get there. And we'll see if we're ready there, because we haven't really had the negative part of that yet, the part where fearing come up yet. But we feel just in so much more of a better place than we were in, you know, a handful of months ago. So everything's happening perfectly. I think our success is always contingent on our emotional readiness. Then once you're emotionally ready, the universe will kind of provide it for you and manifest it for you. So
Beautiful. Now, you talk about these visions a lot, visions for the future for yourself specifically, but also for the world. And what I'm curious to dive into, like, let's just dive off the deep end. Like, let's just go into it. First of all, your video of I talked to aliens this weekend was one of the best videos I've watched in the past year. Like, I don't watch that much YouTube anymore. I'll watch like super mystical, like astrological type of things. That's really what's catching my curiosity right now. I've actually been kind of coming back to like listening to business content too, which I think we're going to come full circle to at the end. But your video, I talked to aliens this weekend. You're talking about going to a channeling conference, interdimensional beings, fifth dimensional Earth, new Earth. So let's start here. Let's start with, okay, there's all these visions of Earth is going to literally transform into another dimensional planet. There has been waves of soul spiritual beings that have come and volunteered here on Earth. Like, where does Cameron Hogan in your visions fit into the cosmic order of how Earth is going to transform into the next evolution of itself?
Bro, I don't know, but I'm just gonna fuck around and find out, like every day.
Okay.
Like for real, bro. I think I'm just throwing like shit at the wall right now and seeing what sticks, to be honest with you. I think that's all we really can do, right?
Mhm.
Um, you know, that channel panel I went to, which led to me making the video about aliens and coming in contact with them and just the group of people there and the wild, wild experiences that happened. It did make it very clear that, especially people at conference, but all, if you want to call them light workers like yourself and many, many others that are kind of like in our orbit right now, I think we all have definitely a unique path. But the thing is, it's like the one thing getting in the way of that path is us overthinking it. And so it's just become so clear, especially today. I had my conversation with my mentor and coach, Yosef. He just made it very clear, like literally the only thing we can do is just be. And what I mean by that is literally just, if we just embody our full authentic self in all moments and then just allow and just have no preference or no expectation of what things need to be, it'll all unfold perfectly. And it will just naturally take the path necessary to play our role in the grand scheme of things of helping humanity rise. And that process can be super, super fun. You know, like, is there stuff? I mean, you just said you were talking about astrology more, and when you have more 5D discussions, there's oftentimes a talk about the war going on above versus the light and the darkness, whatever it is, which isn't necessarily true or false. It just is what it is. And depending on your life experience, you can believe that to be the case or not. What I've realized is the best thing I can do for all of that is just be me and like just love myself unconditionally. And as a result, be authentic for everyone around me. And therefore, when I'm at that place, I have no need to judge them. Because if I unconditionally love myself, I automatically will project that to the world and unconditionally love everyone else. And that within itself is what raises us, if that's even a thing, to a different dimension or 5D, or raises our vibration on the map of conscious, whatever it is. I realize like I have no clue why I'm here. I really don't. And I may get some insights from like doing mushrooms or like going do ayahuasca, and or just like I really like writing, so I'll do that more often, whatever it is. Like we'll get little, synchronicities and signs, but it all comes from just choosing your highest excitement moment. And whatever that is, if it's today where it's just like few emails, few calls, set up this business thing, then also just walk in nature for 3 hours, then come back and be in a podcast with one of my really good friends, and then take a cannabis weed drink after this and have some pizza with my girlfriend and watch TV. Like that's incredible. If
Yeah.
that was my highest excitement and I did that all moments of the day and I had full belief that like I'm just living and doing my thing, we can all just trust that that is exactly what the world is calling you to do, what your guides are calling you to do, what the universe is needing at this point. And so it's a wild process, man, of just like letting go, because there's nothing I need to be, nothing I need to do. I can just vibe and just chill, which is different from how I used to think I need to do things. Because like I used to think, we're here for a reason. We have a job to do. We need this behavior. We need to be serious. We need to build these businesses now, but we need to build them fast. We need to do this, we need to do that. It's all bullshit. Like if you want to believe that, sure. If you want that to be your reality, fine. And also, you can also create and be and quote unquote make the impact from a place of like laid back, from a place of fun, place of dancing, place of flow. And so that was definitely the key takeaway I had from the channel panel. And it took some time for me to understand that. But when you finally understand it, dude, it's the most freeing thing in the world. when you realize that like the key to the universe is just you embracing your own unique consciousness, embracing the thing that separates me from you, and understand that we're all part of the same hand, but we're all just different fingers. You're the index and I'm the pinky. No one's better than the other. They just are different. And embracing you being a pinky to the fullest extent and always remembering you're still part of the hand is the point of life. So
That's beautiful.
thank you, man. Thank you. So it took me, 25 years to get there. But once you're there and you understand you just being you is the best thing you can do for the universe, the game changes.
That's a good one. Wow. That's going to have to be munched on for a little bit. Tell me about this channeling conference. So first of all, what does that even mean? What's somebody who channels? Why would there be a conference? And what are they channeling for? What's the purpose of this experience? Gonna need a sip of water because this one's gonna go deep, I'm sure.
Yeah, man. So channeling is something that I'm still pretty darn new to. I think I learned by first doing it myself over the past handful of years unconsciously. But let me think about that. I think I've been doing it for most of my life. I just became conscious of it about a year ago. And I always had this ability to just kind of flow and speak as if I'm giving like a speech on stage for like a presidential inauguration type thing for like 5 hours straight. No problem. And I could speak on things that I had never consciously thought of before. As I'm saying it, the other part of me is like, oh my gosh, that's actually brilliant. I never thought that before. So it was really wild. And basically what I believe channeling is, to the best of my understanding at this moment, is that having a foundational understanding that a lot of what we believe, a lot of what we see, the ideas we have aren't actually from us. Those ideas chose us. Those feelings chose us. Those words chose us. And there are certain people that have certain gifts that can pull from this cloud that sits above all of us. You know, someone like Carl Jung, Jordan Peterson's favorite guy, calls it the collective unconscious. So basically, it's like our phone storage, like a cloud in the sky that it depicts being. Imagine that, but for like infinite wisdom. All the knowledge of the universe, our history, how the universe works, and what we haven't uncovered yet. All the incredible creations, everything Nikola Tesla's ever done, everything Elon Musk is doing, everything Kanye's ever produced, everything Steve Jobs ever did. That was so out of the ordinary. It can't just look at a spreadsheet and create that. Every good book ever written, you can't just analytically think your way to it. It comes from this cloud. And we download from that cloud. And when we're doing so, it oftentimes feels like a flow state. We lose track of time. That's why people love writing. They love creating something. Because when you're creating, you're in that state of downloading from the cloud. You are connecting with source in your own unique way. That cloud is source. And so channeling, we're all doing it all the time. If you ever created anything, you know. And many of us have many different gifts and skills that are our own unique flavor of channeling. And so I didn't know this for most of my life, but I know the past 2 years, one of my things is writing. I love to write. And when I'm writing, I lose track of time completely. I can be writing for 6 hours. It feels like 6 minutes. And a lot of people have that one thing. And it's always around creating. And sometimes that's a conversation with a certain person, track of time, probably like this one we're having now. It could be cooking. It could be dancing. It could be singing. Anything that is creatively expressing is oftentimes channeling. So it's a very broad term. That being said, there are certain individuals that oftentimes born with it, but it also can be developed to where they can channel many different entities that exist above. So there is this collective consciousness that exists. And also within that collective consciousness, there is access to higher density beings. They could be ancestors of ours. It can be our grandfather from the past. It could be guides, angels from a different dimension that are kind of utilizing our body as a vessel or instrument to channel messages through us that are guiding this planet Earth to become this beautiful experience that it can be and is. And so at this channel panel, there are certain people, and you can believe this if you want. If it doesn't serve you, don't believe it. But I think it does serve a lot of people if they choose to believe it. But there are, what if you want to call them aliens, that's a word our mind used them. But they're higher density beings, means beings that exist above the 3D that we can communicate with, that if we would like to, voluntarily, they can utilize our bodies to report a certain message. And these people or beings above come from all different types of or parts of solar system, of our galaxy, of the universe. And a lot of these entities that exist, there are probably billions, not trillions out there, infinite numbers that our brains can't even fathom. A lot of them, their quote unquote job up there, what they elected to do, is oversee Earth, help us. And so there's a galactic federation. It's kind of like a government or council that oversees all planetary life, including life on planet Earth and everything else in our solar system, and then on. And many other different types of federations, many other different types of groups or tribes of higher density beings, and many of us are actually them reincarnated into a human body, this experience. Man, we're really going like 10 out of 10 woo right now.
That's where I'm trying to go, bro.
I love it. No reason to go anywhere else, right? So those entities, we can mutually elect to have a relationship where they take over someone's body and spread whatever message is necessary at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And so this channel is a bunch of people that have honed in on that skill or gift of channeling higher density beings or aliens, I want to call it that utilize these people temporarily for, say, 15 minutes or 2 hours, and pretty much is an all-knowing, all-loving, omnipresent being that is currently utilizing this tool of a human body.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the most famous ones out there is called Bashar. Up there, they don't really go by names. They kind of just assign themselves a name so our monkey mind can kind of comprehend who they are and what they do. But Bashar had a kind of soul contract with this guy named Daryl Anka, who's just, I believe, a Middle Eastern, looks kind of Hawaiian, always wears Hawaiian shirts, lives in California, Calabasas. And just when he was around my age, a little bit later, had multiple dreams and also UFO sightings. And then a few years later, after going to a handful of different events like the local, he was able to more communicate with Bashar, this higher density being. And they taught each other, or Bashar taught Daryl Anka how to utilize his body as an instrument for Bashar to use to help humanity. And so a lot of these people on this channel panel would talk for 15 minutes about something that's very, very important. And then they'd open up for question and answer. And then everyone and anyone at that conference can go up to the podium and ask this omnipresent, omni-loving, higher density being a question. And so some asked, all the different secrets of the universe you can think of, our wildest questions you can ask and get a very, very truthful answer. They will tell us everything they can up until what doesn't serve our highest growth. So if it's like a technology that we will be understanding 100 years from now, they're not going to give us the recipe for that until it's necessary. But these people understand the sequencing of time, and they only tell us what we're kind of meant to hear. But there's a lot that we're able to hear right now that won't change the path of humanity. It would really either help us just better understand the universe or move us forward. And so a lot of people just ask, like, what is a black hole? And And then one of the answers to that was the black hole is another sun in your solar system that is only seeable from the fifth dimension. So it appears at 3D to be a black hole, but it's actually something much different. So they ask something like that. They can ask, where do we go when we pass away? What is reincarnation? All these other things. And some people just go up. It's so wild. And I do my best not to judge people when they go up and like ask, like, I'm deciding on whether my name should be Pixie or like Angel. Which one do you think? And then Bashar's like, which one do you prefer? He's like, I think I kind of want both Pixie and Angel. And I'm like, this guy knows everything, and that's what you want to ask. And then that's like, I think it's honestly like a lesson for my patients and everyone else in the crowd, because we're like, let's ask like important questions.
Yeah, not to take it so seriously too. They just drop that little one in there to like let you guys chill out a little bit.
Exactly. And it's actually like a test for all of us, because in my head I'm like, so like someone kicked this girl out.
Yeah.
But it's also like, who cares? And that's part of it too. Whatever you want to emphasize in your life, whatever you feel as if important, is just as valid as someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a big learning lesson for me recently. But yeah, so that's the channel panel. And basically it was the best in the world come together, lecture after lecture, Q&A after Q&A, by people that just felt called to going. They didn't know advertising for us, no marketing, no anything. Somehow just felt right for me to look up Bashar's website 2 days before. We canceled our plans of staying a long time in Florida and flew to Arizona as soon as we could. But yeah, it was absolutely wild. And all those people, when they're channeling the higher density beings, they're a super high vibration. That's what makes them a higher density entity. And so being around that was hard on the body. Very, very hard. And so we all know how good we feel when we're around someone who's high vibe. That's because we can handle it. But if we were around, let's say like Eckhart, or I don't even know if it's true about him because I never met him, but someone who is known for being high vibe, Michael Singer, let's say Buddha or Jesus in the past, I think a lot of us potentially could have had bodily reactions around them, because that's exactly what I did around these higher density beings. Was that whatever part of me wasn't compatible with that higher density literally shed my body. So there's a TMI, like I was pooping black shit. Like it was weird. And like Elle and I never ever get sick. We got very, very sick then. Elle has the past decade been drinking Diet Coke for like 8 to 12 cans a day. The second day of that channel panel, she sipped 1 Diet Coke that morning, threw up, and she's like, I can never drink this again.
Wow. Has she stopped?
She stopped completely. Hasn't taken one since.
That's
Hard
wild.
stop. And so like Diet Coke, everything we consume is of a certain density, of a certain vibration. And that was so misaligned with what she felt the day before and was going to feel that day, that her body literally would not allow it into its system. So that was just wild. But it was a crazy, incredible weekend. Long story short, the summary was choose your highest excitement. It's all divinely orchestrated. Us just doing and feeling, most importantly, being whatever feels right for us in every single moment is the way that we're actually in best of service to humanity. In best of service to the highest version of ourselves. It's just to be and allow whatever you want to be. So that's a lot, but it was a wild week, bro.
Thank you for that. No, your whole video, and I'd recommend anybody watching this to this point, check out Cam's video called I Talked to Aliens This Weekend. He goes even deeper into this, and it was incredible. But I want to ask a few follow-ups from what you just said. The first being, did you ask any questions yourself?
I didn't. I feel like I would have if I really thought of something. But I was just in awe the whole time. Oh, another thing, man. I know I talked about it in the video, but for most of them, I felt like I was almost being put in like a coma. Like I was being sedated by them. So I feel as if there's certain like levels of vibrational truth that your subconscious mind and body are ready to take on, but your conscious mind would get in the way and like overthink things, be like, oh, bullshit, whatever it is. If you're meant to experience that moment, the guides above will like sedate you temporarily. So like a lot, it's hard for me to ask questions when like I'm literally there as they're speaking. If the camera is, I'm just like,
Wow.
Elle and I were like that for like hours on end. And right when people start like clapping when they're done, we're like, we weren't asleep. We're like 80% unconscious.
Uh-huh.
So we weren't really in the position to like get up and ask questions. We were just taking it all in for most of it, which was absolutely wild within itself. But I guess it's just how it works. And again, this is all like my first time. Like if I heard this, I would not believe it. But because I experienced it, I'm just so sold. And I can't ever.
Yeah. And I believe you in all of this, in this entire experience, because only within the past handful of months have I actually had connections and communication with interdimensional beings, guides, angels. So in your channeling experience, like what connections have you had? What conversations have you had? What communication, what insights? If you're open to sharing it all. Because like this is what I'm so interested in, dude.
Dude, it's been wild, right? And so I don't oftentimes publicize this because a lot of people don't understand it, even though I'm completely okay saying, but I've been an intuitive healer for the past, well, probably my whole life, but I've honed the craft enough over the past year to publicly charge for it and to like say what I am. But as an intuitive healer, I'm not to the point yet where I see them, but I deeply feel people's guides that are always above them. All of us have anywhere from 1, 3, sometimes 7, 9 guides, some of which are deceased relatives from the past, some of which are just higher density beings that chose to volunteer to kind of oversee us and guide us if we're open to it. A lot of the synchronicities we get in life are actually throwing us little nuggets to put us in the path, which is wild. So I've been able to kind of communicate, I guess you call it telepathically, with them for about a year, I'd say. It started Danny's retreat about a year ago. And so ever since that happened, when people come in my life for that service, it's all just divine. So they're ready to hear whatever guides are ready to tell them. And if I can just be present and like set aside all my own BS going on my head, I can feel into what they want me to tell their person.
I see. So you're acting as the channel from the interdimensional beings to connect to the 3D. So you're the bridge.
I'm the messenger. Exactly.
The messenger.
I'm the messenger. This is why this whole thing is there. I'm just a messenger.
Interesting. Yeah,
so,
me too. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think you definitely can.
Yeah.
I think a lot of what I have, I believe you have too.
It might manifest a little bit differently because we're unique, right? We have a unique frequency, unique gifts, but I understand what you're saying. And I wouldn't have understood any of this before maybe 2 or 3 months ago. Since our retreat actually was when a lot shifted right after. But it's refreshing, dude, to like talk about this with you. And I'm gonna open up a little bit. Being in Illinois right now, I don't have much people to talk to about this stuff, bro. I don't have anybody to talk to except my own consciousness and my own guides in solitude. But most conversations, oh, dude, you ready for the test tomorrow? Oh, fuck, dude, we got deadlift today at football. It's like normal 3D stuff, which I'm meant to be a 3D world. So are you, that we're the messengers, the bridge. But it's so fucking energizing and refreshing to be able to talk about these topics with you. So I just want to express my gratitude. It's really fun. I feel so energized. And it's 7:07, divine number, right now.
Awesome. Of course, man. Yeah, brother. I mean, you're obviously exactly where you're meant to be, right? I think you're high excitement. And it makes sense why you may feel very fulfilled in most aspects of life, potentially a little deprived in this one when it comes to like these type of spiritual communications. So it just sounds like we're gonna have a lot more podcasts soon, bro.
It sounds like I'm supposed to get the podcast going again. I had received that guidance actually, and sometimes I just forget or I wasn't ready, or now I'm finally grounded enough being here for about a month where, yeah, let's get the podcast rolling again. It feels good. Something else too, dude, about the highest excitement is, so a few months ago when I made this decision to come back to Illinois and play a year of college football, in the macro sense of like the next year of my life, my highest excitement was like go play quarterback. And that manifested, which was incredible and so divinely orchestrated. However, something that's interesting to navigate throughout the process is, yes, that is my highest excitement in the year-long experience here in Illinois. I don't know what's going to happen beyond quite yet. I have some ideas, but we'll see. But sometimes in my intra day, right, I got to go to this fucking class that I don't want to be at, right? It's like pretty cold outside and I got to get in my car and go to football lifting, right? So talk to me about how you think about the balance between highest excitement in the macro sense, right? For you, it's like media, podcast, building businesses, and then the things within the day that serve that highest excitement path, but in the moment are like, fuck, do I really want to do this right now? Like, how do you dance with that?
Yeah, man. That's like something I've been dealing with the past, especially handful of months now. Things are ramping up. Like calls to the accountant, calls to the lawyer, um, emails back and forth with, make sure my LLC is structured properly. Like, I'd really be talking about this like aliens and not like
Yeah.
yes, matrix paperwork, right?
Right.
And so, what I've learned is that the worst part about everything I do is the story I give it.
Mm,
It's not the actual action.
that's
Like
fucking good.
but like let's say if you are about to like you got to wake up early and go lift and it's like freezing cold outside because you chose to play in Illinois instead of like Florida or something like that. Like, like you
Yeah.
set yourself up for like the environment you chose, but like there's also some like repercussions or we're choosing to like not prefer certain aspects of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I've learned is like after every accounting call or every talk to the lawyer, I'm always like, that wasn't that bad. I actually kind of
Mm-hmm.
like that, you
Right.
know? And so like maybe you lifting, it's like when you got to get up at a certain time, this like, oh shit, that sucks. But after lift, you get a good workout,
Feels fucking great.
good like conversation with the boys. Like
Yes.
it's all like the BS we put through our heads
Yes.
prior to
It's the
the action.
preconception of it.
Exactly.
That I've noticed that's what causes any type of dread or heaviness in me. It's like, oh, I got to do all this today. It's like that exact thought is what's creating the heaviness. Rather than right
Yeah,
here, right now, presence, there can't be heaviness. There's just energy flow in the moment. It's such a good
exactly.
reminder.
And it's definitely difficult, but if you believe that you were purposely put in Illinois to play football for a year, and you can kind of see like, hey, maybe it's like to talk to a certain person that's really gonna like make a huge impact on the world, or it's just you kind of expressing your physical abilities, like fully being in your body, while you still can at 23, as opposed to 37 or whatever it will be one day. Like whatever the reason is, it's going to come with things that in the past we have called undesirable.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually like not true. It's just the association and attachment society has told us about those things. Like we've all viewed tests in like school and exams as bad. Why? Why are they bad?
I had
Why do
one
we have to
yesterday. It
fear
was
them?
actually pretty fun.
Yeah, exactly. Like everything that we've been told to like dread and complain about, it's all bullshit. And so I don't necessarily love, especially like the people nowadays putting this on because I can kind of see right through it. But they're like, change, I have I get to with everything you do. I get to pay my taxes. I get to do this. I get to do that. And I'm like, yes and no. Like, don't force it, you know? But it's also like, think back to the last time you had to do that stuff and be like, was that really that bad? You're like, oh, no, it actually wasn't. It was actually was neutral or actually pretty good. So what's to say that won't happen again? And it's oftentimes like all the other classmates be like, oh, bro, fuck this test. Like complaining about this. That's what's like the programming feeding us
Mm-hmm.
to decide our relationship with that thing.
I
But
think that's a
everything
big
just
part.
is.
I think that's a big part of why I'm here is
Mm.
can I be in the normal world 3D with all the programming? And if you just sit here and observe, what do most of the conversations revolve around? It's usually complaining. It's most things are talked about that we relate in a negative sense. There's very little positive unless we have a shared goal and a mission. That's what I've noticed with the football team. Mostly the positive conversations are like excitement for the future for football. But even within that, there's so much negativity of like, fuck, dude, we just got to get through this lift and then we'll be done. Or fuck, just getting to spring break. And I catch myself sometimes when I slip unconscious for half a second, I'm in it. I'm like, dude, fuck, dude, I got this test tomorrow. And I'm like, wait, who's talking? I'm just like playing something that I've looped in my consciousness for years over and over and over again. But if I stay here, then it's like I just don't usually engage in that. But if I slip unconscious for a second, I can fall right into that. I think it's a huge reason why I'm here. Because in Austin, when I hang out with you or Danny or Jack and Nick Sweeney, like of course our conversations are so uplifting, so positive, so energizing. But can I be with the negativity around and stay positive and stay in my light? That's a appreciate you for helping me unlock that.
Dude, like you're Neo right now. You understand?
100%. I wrote a
You're like
newsletter about that.
you're going back in the matrix, bro. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's wild, right? Because most people's lives are simultaneously complaining about the past, but also those are the good old days at the same time. And the future is either like, oh, I got a test coming up, but oh, I can't wait for spring break. It's like there's kind of this negative, positive thing going on for the past and future. But over a long enough time horizon, everything that happened in this 1 year back to college with you playing football, we're going to reminisce on.
Mm-hmm.
Like even the test, even that's like, oh, it was all perfect. It was all part of it, you know. But even a long enough time horizon, everything is going to be seen through rose-colored glasses. And so I'm like, why not just view that now and save us a little pain and suffering? Like we've talked about before, approach this year as if the 80-year-old self is reflecting on what you did at 23. Because the whole time it's going to have a grin on. And it's going to be like, and the only advice he would give you is just enjoy it and be in the present moment, which is wild. But once I understood that, like, oh my gosh, like this is the stage, this is the come up, like for me, and like
Yeah.
this is, and for you too, of course, and for everyone, it's always the come up, right? In different aspects of life, come up is a funny thing, diggity, but it's like now is the time I'm gonna reminisce, even when I have everything that I want to have. I'm gonna look at this like those are the golden days. And so, just how can I trick my mind or rewire my mind because it's already been wired a certain way that doesn't serve me? How do I rewire it in a way that does, in which I'm constantly grateful and constantly present in them? That is like the key to life. You can do that. It's fantastic. Because even tomorrow, I've said this example to a lot of my clients recently. Even tomorrow, if I get falsely accused of a crime and I life sentence in prison, right? I'll have glory days in the past when I was free and could go to the gym whenever I want, go hug my girlfriend whenever I want, you know, go have incredible food whenever I want. I'll be dreading the future potentially. I got a life sentence here. And in the present moment, I can choose whatever I want that to be in any moment. But if I can create a story in my head of like, oh, I'm meant to be here for a reason, just like Jack was meant to go play football here as opposed to move to Austin or go back to just doing digital nomad stuff. Just like I in the past was meant to go to Bali and then come back and then marry her, buy that house, do this and that. This isn't an exception. This is also
Mm-hmm.
part of the plan. This is also part of the story. And then you ask yourself, like, why am I here? Why am I being put in this life sentence in jail? It's like probably for a reason. And so
Mm-hmm.
why the F am I complaining about God, the universe, my guides putting me here for a reason? And I'm like, okay, well, what if I can make this jail cell the most fun I possibly can? What would I do? I'd probably be playing like tic-tac-toe with the guys around the hall or something like that. Make sure I'm like best friends with my bunkie. Do best to like inspire. Like let's all get jacked, y'all. Let's like all just get in incredible shape while we're here. Let's all just make this as fun as possible. Like if we
Yeah.
can make that, if I can inspire and make that situation the most fun as possible, why can't I do that for every aspect of life at all
Mm-hmm.
times? So I'm saying all this to kind of come back to what you're saying, like how do you make the most out of doing shit you don't want to do, even though you know it's building towards something great? And to be honest with you, there is no right answer for that. And tomorrow I could have a stacked schedule of like legal paperwork and logistics and absolutely hate it. That's also okay. That's like
Mm-hmm.
also part of the human experience.
Mm-hmm.
Like honestly, it'd be kind of boring if the rest of my life just felt like heaven. I want to feel angry. I want to feel sad sometimes. I want to feel those other things. And it's us being scared around feeling those things. It's causing all our pain and suffering in life.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're completely okay, if tomorrow is a day where we feel guilty and shameful and angry, sad sometimes, or complete peaceful, at bliss, happy, fulfilled, made a bunch of money, if we're completely okay with wherever we fall on that spectrum for tomorrow, and we do that every single day, and we fully feel that in all moments, that is true authenticity. That is no fear, because what is there to fear? Just a little bit more shame, a little more guilt, a little more anger. Okay. That is all love. You love yourself no matter what emotion you're feeling. And all those together make up enlightenment. And so you going back and playing football is actually the greatest test for your enlightenment. That's why it was given to you.
Correct.
So if you can find a way to be in that bullshit ass calculus class or whatever you're taking
Yeah.
and learn how to make it fun and enjoyable, and when you're feeling like shit, I don't want to do this homework, and fully embrace that, be a little angry,
Mm-hmm.
fully embrace that, that's enlightenment, bro. They're
Dude,
setting you up for it.
I was screaming so loud at my computer the other day because, dude, I wrote a little journal reflection on like connecting some book we read about some girl getting falsely imprisoned and accused to Andrew Tate article. Just because I was like, that's the first thing that popped in my mind. Cool, I'm just gonna write it up. Didn't really think twice about it. Like I was receiving guidance. Yeah, write it about this, and I wrote it up. I thought it was pretty good. Like I actually put effort into it. I enjoyed it, and I submitted it. And my teacher was like, "No, you can't do this topic. Like redo it." And I got so like in the moment, I wasn't too mad. I was like, okay, because I was with her. And I came back here and like all I wanted to do was post about transcendence, talk to people about transcendence, right? Project I'm excited about. But I have to sit here for 30 minutes and rewrite an article about some bullshit that I don't care about. I screamed at the computer for about 5 minutes. And then I did the assignment in about 10 minutes, and then I was like, oh, that wasn't that bad. So yeah, I do appreciate you, and I also appreciate the perspective of let yourself feel it. Let yourself feel it. It's part of it.
Enlightenment is not always being at peace. Enlightenment is fully embracing every emotion. It is not let go of the human experience, but to let go of the attachment around what we're experiencing.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. Do you think there's like a tipping point at some certain point where like Jesus and Buddha, like, do you think they would still experience the anger, let's say, or would they
Yeah.
have transcended it?
No, I don't believe it's something you transcend. I think it's something you fully embrace. You transcend the suffering involved with it. And
Mm-hmm.
so, I mean, I've never read the Bible. This has literally just been downloaded to me and then also been put in the right situations to have the right conversations, listen to the right podcast, do this and that. But what I've heard of Jesus is that, and this is not, again, from the Bible, very different story, but he would also get angry. Like when it came to where they would exchange money within the church, the governing system in his place of where he lived, he would flip over tables because he understood that people were, charging to help people get into heaven. Which, like, what are you talking about? Heaven is within, and now you're making it this place where they have to worship someone, do anything bad, they're going to hell, and also you're charging them to get into heaven. Like he was so pissed. But what made him Jesus, what made Buddha Buddha, was that he was completely at peace being pissed. He didn't see it any other type of way other than a valid reaction. And so I don't know if Jesus ever had fear, but I believe in Buddha and all the other ones that we look up to, and quite a handful, many that are notable, some that are at least written about. But they're also human. They came down to experience. They just chose to unconditionally love themselves through it. All the ups and downs. And so that's what people love, because they can feel that. They can feel the unconditional love oozing from them. And that's why they got disciples, why people towards them. And so I learned this recently, like, it's completely okay if I wake up to angry, pissed off, and like quote unquote lower vibration on the conscious, or whatever you want to call it. Because the more I shame myself for that, the moment I don't fully allow myself to feel that emotion, is the more that it stays. And is the more that it will stay prevalent for most people, especially around shame, guilt, anger, decades. And if you really want to put you want to call it tinfoil hat or woohoo hat on, that's the cause of most dis-ease in the body, which means cancer, everything else that we experience. It is suppressed and repressed emotions. That's why the more tapped in you become, the more like Jesus you become, the more your body works properly, because there's no energy in emotions being stuck that would cause a blockage. So what I've learned is it is completely okay to be angry. It's completely okay to be shameful. Completely okay to have all the quote unquote undesirable. That's what we sign up for, this human experience. And the more we just embrace the human experience and unconditionally love ourselves through it, the more we become enlightened. We'll shoot right back up to that high vibration. It'll run through us. It'll run its course very quickly. And so it's easy for someone to conceptually understand that, but it's hard to embody, right? Because we have dozens of years of programming telling us you should be angry, and also you shouldn't feel angry at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't show that you're angry, but you should be angry about this. Don't show that you're sad. You can't cry, but also here's some terrible shit that's worthy of crying about. It's like they trap you and you feel numb, feel sedated. But if we finally allow ourselves just to express whatever is meant to come up, whether that means crying or, yelling in the forest or punching a punching bag or whatever it is, once we allow that to just go through us, whatever coping mechanism we put on to avoid those things, then fall away suddenly. And that's how we cure all addictions. That's how we help people rapidly rise, radically change their life. We just have them feel what they've been avoiding to feel.
It's not rocket science.
It really isn't.
It's not rocket science.
Yeah.
But it's not preferable. In the long run, of course, it's preferable because we can understand the outcomes of that experience. But in the short run, why would I go want to feel my sadness if YouTube's right there, TikTok's right there, Netflix right there?
100%.
That is the ultimate test right there.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, right? Because that's also something that we've chosen to believe. Because if I had a choice, like option A, shit's going to happen to you, and every day you don't look at it, you're going to get 1 percentage point worse. So let's say they have something to be very, very shameful about, right? And you don't want to face it. So if you're normally at 80% happy, every day, 79, 78, 77, 76, 75, and you just keep on going on day by day by day. That's option A. Versus option B is you do something shameful, you feel it for 20 minutes, or let's say one night, put it that way. You fully feel it. And next day, you're back up at 80 and will be there forever. If not higher than ever before. Probably 85 now. And so if we actually had like two options, right, when like trauma shit happens to us, which route we want to take, the never-ending decrease of our own perception of ourselves and our own quality of life, all the other shit that we have going on, or feel it for 5 minutes, feel that pain, and then have it be released. I would say nearly 100% people would choose option B. They just feel it and be over with. But we've been conditioned to believe that those aren't options. This is the only way. I don't know why I felt like sharing that with you, but just kind of felt right.
No, I love it. It's great. I also think it'd be great. I want to transition this into more of the 3D, actually. I'm curious for you now, like with all, well, it's all tied in together, right? With all these crazy insights, right? Fifth dimensional insights, going to channeling conferences, psychedelics, you know, all of it. What is daily life looking like for you right now? And what projects are you building and creating? And what does it all look like in the day-to-day? Because I also love this stuff too.
Yeah, bro. I mean, that's why we're here, right?
Yeah.
Like here, you know. Yeah, man. It's been unique. I hired my first employee about 2 weeks ago. And so it's definitely brought me a lot more structure recently. The past handful of days, let's say the past week, I've realized like I've always had these rules for myself of like, okay, I need to structure my day so I have 4-hour time slots available in the afternoon, like 1 to 5 or whatever it is for calls that I'll have. Or in the mornings need to be creativity, writing. Or if I have my employee over, talking with her, building that. And then evenings need to be either community events or, you know, hanging out with Elle, whatever it is. I realized like I don't ever want to put myself in that box. That kind of sucks. And oftentimes that's like an entire day of stuff. Like I don't really want that. I want time just to like walk in the forest. And so recently I'm just like, what if I just say fuck all that? Throw all that like how things need to be trash bin and be like, okay, other than like a 4-hour window for calls, so I'm always kind of like on call for things. People can schedule last minute, whatever it is. What if I say only 2 hours a day you can call me? 11 to 1. That's it. And if my accountant can't fit in that period of time or my client can't fit in that period of time, that's okay. Next week. But it's Monday through Friday, 11. That's the only time I'm taking calls. And I'm like, what would my dream morning be? Like, well, I know I have the commitment of great morning. And I would probably want to see my employee that day, but not too early. So let's call it 10 a.m. So right now it's wake up at about 6:30, immediately get in front of the sun, go on a walk, ground my feet, big, a lot of water, a glass of pomegranate juice, a cow in the morning, go for a walk. Takes about half an hour, 45 minutes. Come back, wake up Elle in bed, just have some good moments there, and then just slowly make our way up to my office and have a great morning. This is the 45-minute call that we have, only half an hour, where we help people jumpstart their day, no matter if they're feeling on the right side of bed or the wrong side of bed. We have this routine of gratitude affirmations, habits that just almost guarantee for you to have a good morning, great morning. That's been really successful. Joy. So we have that, and then after that, it's breakfast with Elle. We make in the kitchen. We're talking about how great morning went. We're talking about life. Maybe take a quick shower. I have the employee come to my house. Actually, I don't like using the word employee. It's just like someone I'm working with, you know? Employee sounds weird. She comes to the house from now 10 to 1, and she helps structure all of our plans for all the big projects we're working on, which I'll say in a sec. I'm very much a galvanizer and a wonderer. So I'll have the big plans, and I'm can easily market and sell it oftentimes. I really tried. Which sometimes I don't. But when I do those things, I know that I need other people to help me with the finite details. Even though I can do that or not. So Ashley is the complete opposite of me. And she is great with making sure the I's are dotted, T's are crossed. the former teacher, very disciplined. And so every big project we have just a list of pretty much sticky note tasks that we move from need to do to doing to done on a big whiteboard, dying. And that way we just got a lot of great projects. Then so that usually happens. And then come afternoons, on days I have clients, one-on-one coaching, I'm still doing for the next handful of weeks. I maybe have a call or two, and that's really about it. Maybe an email here and there. That's really about it. And so occasionally I'll have a podcast like this. Soon I'll be having community events most evenings of the week. But it's very flowy. Besides that, just like let's create, let's go for a walk, let's go run, whatever it is. But just I've realized I'm going to optimize my day to have the least amount of doing and work possible by empowering me to be, especially in the age of AI, incredibly automated, delegate everything else now, make everything as efficient as possible, and realize like there's no rules. Like if I'm going to have a lot of clients, whatever it is, they're going to speak with me when it feels right for me on my time, not on theirs. And so I just set that precedent. All of the people have just fallen in line. Okay, yeah, sure, great. Follow you within the window. So that's how my day's looking. And then most nights, usually we have food prep for us, eat that, and then watch a few videos more than likely. Ellen, couch, have some cream with us. That's what like call. And we watch more like tapped in spiritual videos with the podcast, with type of light workers, type of psychics, type of anything that really kind of quenches our thirst for that understanding of spirituality and consciousness that we don't. Then in bed by 9-ish, means I'm getting like 9-10 hours of sleep most nights, which is fantastic. But that's really the day. That's what the work day looks like. But the projects I'm working on, I'm shifting away from coaching, just one-on-one, to one-to-many, because we just realized it's definitely higher level impact. So
And right before you dive into this, the projects, can you move the mic up by an inch or two?
Sure. Yeah, this thing keeps on falling a little bit.
No, you're good.
There
I
we
just
go.
know you're about to drop some gems with the projects. And I'm curious about this pivot as well.
Yeah. So I realized the pivot's necessary because like I can only grow so much from just one-on-one. And like I said, I want most of my day to be doing whatever I want. I can't be doing that if I have a few dozen one-on-one clients. That's like a legit full-time job. And it also takes up a lot of energy. You know, holding space and channeling, oftentimes, like we talked about earlier, for clients, that's a lot. And so I only want to do like 2 or 3 of those a day maximum. And so understanding myself and what I'm really capable of because of the other energy I want to pour into creating, writing, this type of content, whatever it is, it just took some time to transition. One thing that just felt necessary was I've had this handful of communities going on already between Elle and I, in person and online, that we want to finally make paid. Everything that we're doing for free will continue to be free. We're just going to add on like more value to people for free. And so the big focus right now that myself, Elle, and Ashley are working on is creating communities online where people can have these incredible connections with people all over the world that are all like-minded and open-hearted. We'll continue doing Great Morning, like I talked about earlier. That's absolutely free for everyone in the world. And on top of that, we're going to have the board, or the board walks, the board talks, which will be the online component of what Elle currently does here in Austin, Texas, and also San Francisco, which is a walk every Saturday where 5 miles long, a bunch of incredible people, all different backgrounds, come together and just have really good conversations. We realize that so many people, probably including yourself now, Jack, it's like you feel isolated where you're at and you're yearning for stimulating conversations. And that's what we want to create. We want to have like real conversations, not just about politics or sports, but about anything. And we'll have different topics every night of the week when it comes to philosophy, when it comes to technology, when it comes to everything in between. That's going to be the board. That's going to be $55 a month. And because of the list of people we have on the email list, stuff like that, that one's going to be very big, very fast because of like the pulse we've seen on the need for it. So we're very grateful for that. And that'll be happening very soon. My AirPod just died. Can you hear me all good?
I can hear you. You got me?
Gotcha. Yep. Gotcha.
Cool.
Yeah. So we have that community. And then also I've been doing this thing called True Brotherhood for quite a while in person when I was back in Bali, also in Austin earlier on this year. And I'm like, this needs to be online. And so we're creating True Brotherhood for myself, for men, and then True Love Club for women. True Love Club can be ran by Elle. It's all about women in dating, for the most part, aligning themselves with who they know they're capable of being to attract the person they know they're capable of having. And men don't really want to buy something just for dating. They don't really want to participate just for dating, right? And men, we are more holistic with life. And so based upon what I know and also bringing in experts from my life and all over the world, we're going to get our health right, our wealth right, our relationship rights, those that are into spirituality, doing that.
Truth. I sneeze, that means you just show me the light. Like there's something in there that's
Perfect.
really true.
Appreciate that, man. Yeah. I'm glad you take a sneeze like that. That's awesome. but yeah, so that's going to be a big one. Very, very excited about that. And we're going to have on very wealthy people, teach people how to do real estate, how to do all these different things. The healthiest people I know, people that do it for a living, teach them how to really get their health aligned right, whether they want to become jacked or just live a long time. I'll have the whole playbook for that. We'll have multiple calls a week, some like more men's circle for more intimate, like let's share what's going on. But some are just more like mastermind type things on certain subjects, but just kind of exactly what I think men need right now. And if you don't live in Austin, Texas, or LA, or maybe Miami, if that, New York City, good luck getting that. And so that needs to be online somewhere and accessible to everyone. There's going to be a plethora of courses in there teaching about finance, about health, spirituality, about how to build yourself in the man necessary to attract whatever you want in life. So that's a certain type of woman, wealth, whatever it is. So I'm super excited about that. That's been a lot of my focus and attention recently. So that's going to be awesome. And then the last one that we're doing is called Lighthouse. This is exclusively for people that are spiritually inclined, let's put it that way, that are ready to kind of step up and not only meet other like-minded, open-hearted people at that same level, but also to learn how to create their own events and how to create their own whatever it is appeals to them. There are a lot of people in this hallway right now that know they're capable of doing something more. It's just very difficult to do alone in 3D. And so if we can take on all those people that are spiritually inclined, light work, whatever it is, and bring them together so that they can share whatever they're going through and assist each other, while also giving them detailed instruction on how to either build a business or just create the world to see, make the impact they want to make. We're doing everything necessary to make sure they have exactly. Now that's only going to be invite only, and people will go on our radar based upon their activity in these other communities. But we're pretty much building 4-ish. Yeah, 4 communities total, 5, including Great Morning. All going to be very affordable, all $55 a month. That we plan on just scaling this entire year. And we know that's definitely going to be our highest leverage of impact we can make with the finite amount of time that we have. And so, yeah, that's definitely our big focus right now. And so that's huge. When it comes to this podcast studio, this is giving us everything we need now that we have editors in place, ghostwriters in place, everything necessary to expand our own media company when it comes to a handful of different podcasts, some of which led by me, some of which led by Elle. Some are mutual, like Listen Before Love, we currently already have. And this, everything we just talked about here, when it comes to the podcasts and putting stuff out on social media, when it comes to communities, when it comes to courses, coaching, everything, retreats, everything that we've done so far, that within itself is something that is highly, highly desirable. Right? And so Mystic Media, part of what we're going to be doing is helping others set all that up for themselves. And we're going to have different tiers, the done for you, done with you, and do it yourself. At the highest level, we're going to take someone who oftentimes is going to be ages 40 to 60 that are we're only going to take people that are true leaders or true creators, spiritually inclined. Those are the people that are really our market, and people we know the world's definitely a better place if we expand their knowledge as opposed to, some other thing. So that's going to be the people that we service. And then from there, we will do absolutely everything for them. We'll set up all the social media accounts. If they don't really have that set up, we'll have them fly out to here to be in our studio to talk with us and record hours upon hours of content that will be chopped up and spread upon all different platforms for 3 months, whatever it is, however much content we have, to get them on the map, to get them spreading the messages they know they're capable of spreading. And for some people, they're just in it more for the impact, legacy, right? But then some people are doing it to create a business out of it. They want to step into the new chapter of life and really speak their truth, speak their experiences, share their gifts to the world, while simultaneously being reciprocated for it, having a proper energy exchange for once. And so because we've already built that for ourselves, we are going to take what we know and create the perfect kind of business model for themselves in whatever their strong suits are. And we'll do absolutely everything for them. And so thankfully, it's definitely taken a lot when it comes to getting the right people in place, so that when it's time to make this offer, that it's like all systems running, the machine's well oiled and good to go. But that'll be happening in the next few weeks. And so that is going to be not only supporting us to keep our projects going, especially the podcasts, but it's also going to expand the impact we have. Because now we're not only going to have eyeballs that are seeing Elle and myself, we're now going to have probably dozens and dozens of clients that have a well-oiled machine when it comes to attracting attention and sending the right messages, the right vibrational messages, the energy transference that our society's been yearning for. We're setting up the system to do that at scale. And that is going to be a huge difference maker, because even if we just shift the TikTok feed and the Instagram feed, LinkedIn feed by just 1%, be a little more tapped in, a little more loving, a little more spiritual, a little more conscious, a little more intentional, that will have ripple effects amongst all of humanity and help us get to wherever we want to go. And for many that are feeling the call to rise, they'll have everything necessary to do.
Wow.
So it's a lot. It's a lot, but that's it.
Wow, that is a lot. That is a lot. But I finally am seeing, and I always trusted you had the vision, but now I'm actually seeing it myself, how it all comes together with this bigger vision. How does it interplay with humanity? It all fits in together. All the communities, the company, the media company, scaling. I see it. I see it perfectly. And it's like you are on the come up. You're on the precipice, right? This is the seed right before it's actually going to manifest, just like your podcast studio manifested. Like, it's inevitable, bro. And I'm so fucking excited for all the different things you're creating. Something that was coming up too that I was especially interested in was I guess you could call it like men's self-improvement community, right? That's something that I was so interested in a few years ago myself, and I still am. I was actually looking the other day at like Hamza and this guy named First Man. His name's Chris Turney. They kind of pioneered this self-improvement with a school, with like a fitness course, a business course, mindset course, health, whatever. This is the next evolution. This is the next iteration. And it's going to be interesting to see, because like those dudes Hamza gets millions of views. Chris Turney gets like 10, 15,000 views a video, but it's going to be so interesting to see more of the mainstream and massive numbers catch on to the messages you're putting out, the messages I'm putting out. I'm really curious to see how that's going to play out, because the stuff that goes viral, at least in my algorithm, seems like it's shifting more towards the spiritual stuff. So it's like we're ahead of the curve.
Most definitely, man. I mean, the masses are awakening. The masses are realizing that how they used to see society, how they used to see themselves, no longer serves them. That's partially due to all the craziness happening externally. It's causing people to kind of exit out of it and ask deeper questions. And we're in a position that has those answers. And so when it comes to true brotherhood, and this is really putting people in game, a lot of people already hear this, but basically what's going to happen is I'm building the place people can go to once they've reached the end of personal development.
Mm-hmm.
When they have the health, and they have the wealth, and they have the girl, whatever it is, or there could be still missing parts of that aspects of life, but they feel like they kind of got shit figured out, but they still feel like something's missing. That's where we help. Because once we get to the end of that personal development journey, the only thing missing is the inner feeling that we thought we'd get from earlier.
Your community is like the 400s to the 500s. It's that jump.
Exactly. On the map of consciousness, that's exactly it. It's going from 3D to 4D. So basically, what that looks like is at the end of the personal development journey, realizing, oh shit, I've been perfect since the beginning. I've been perfect all along. There's nothing you need to chase, nothing you need to do. I could live this life however I want to live it. And also, the universe will start working in my favor more, the more of service I am to people around. And so the entire community is making that shift as easy as possible so that the synchronicities, the abundance of people looking to give them money, opportunities, have them go to their events or do whatever they are looking for in life, that magnetic feel that they felt from very few people in their life, but they know they're destined to have, we gift them that. Because all we're doing is just showing them they've been that all along. Empowering them to realize that. So yeah, man, I appreciate that. But that's the one I'm probably most excited about.
I can feel that.
For that.
Yeah. It resonates deeply with me too.
Awesome.
Yeah, bro.
Really
Is there
cool.
anything else in your awareness that you want to touch on here that we haven't gone
I would
into?
love to know more about you, man. I would love to hear like how things have been for you recently because, you know, a handful of months ago, I remember just getting pictures of you in some like random D3 school's locker room. It looked like super nice, by the way.
Yeah.
Like a jersey on, like throwing a football around. And there's like, Pat McAfee and Aaron Rodgers talking in the background, talking about ayahuasca as you just came back from ayahuasca.
Yeah.
And then now it's like you got a full apartment. You're like playing on the team, kind of getting ready for like next year. You're training like with the professionals. And like all this is happening. And you're going to class, then you're going back to school. Like you're probably learning philosophy, even though like you're legit a philosopher already. like I would love to know like how has this been for you and what's coming up in your life?
Yeah, man. It's been turbulent. It's been turbulent ever since honestly, it's been turbulent the last few years, really, but especially the past few months, like leaving Austin, then going on that spontaneous solo trip to Hawaii, then going to Mexico with my family, then moving back into a new apartment 2 days later, like with a lot of family health things going on, and then starting school the next day. Like I don't have any furniture. Like I don't even have a bed. It was wild, man. And it's this process of my external reality rearranging itself to match my new internal state. So the internal decision to like, okay, I'm going to do a complete 180. I'm going to go back to college, play football that happened in ayahuasca, caused my external world to completely shift. Right. And so what I would equate it to is like the last few months have felt like me walking on a tightrope back to where I originally was from the perspective of I've already been across the mountain. I've been across the ocean. I've seen the fifth dimension. I've gone to the depths of ayahuasca. Now let me tiptoe my back here and figure out, okay, where am I going to play? How am I going to get enough money? Oh, wait, I got to pay rent for this. Now I got to set up an Xfinity account, blah, 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 to get back to where I was 3 years ago on a football team in college with like a year left to finish a psychology degree. Now I'm back there, and this is the balance. This has been my work right now. How do I go to school, get good grades enough to pass, which right now I think I have like all A's. I think I'm doing decent. Um, go to football 3 times a week, train on the weekends to play quarterback, also prioritize my health the other days of the week, and not forget about the divine mission that I feel I was sent on, that I was told about during ayahuasca as well. So that's been the dance for me. It's felt like I haven't had enough time in the days to do everything I want to do, but I'm coming to a lot more clarity, and the next few months are starting to map out. Also, transcendence now coming in the picture with like quantum healing. It's been a lot moving fast.
How are you doing it, man? That feels like so much.
Yeah, dude, sometimes I don't know. The simple answer is God. The simple answer is like, I know I'm being guided, and I am being guided at all times. Even like during this podcast, guided to ask a certain question. That connection has gotten really strong. Now there has been times where like this has all become so overwhelming, and I take a step back. I start hitting the vape again. I get McDonald's again, and it's part of the path. And I have a tendency to focus on the negatives, like a few negative things, rather than, you said, how are you doing all this, rather than focusing on the positives. I think what's been helpful is viewing it almost as an initiation experience, and the early trial periods in a life that I know is meant to be grand and marvelous and magical and spectacular. And it is right now. And I have tasted that with like living in Thailand on the beach, or like living in Austin with awesome people, tasting that, knowing that that's my destiny. But I have work to do. I have things to finish here. I have a potential to actualize with sports. So that zoomed out perspective of, okay, I know where I am. It's funny, dude. I just saw this card literally right now on my desk. It just stood out to me so clearly. It says, you are seeing the situation accurately. And it's Horus. And so sometimes I have questioned, why the fuck am I here? And I remember I'm supposed to be here for reasons I may not yet know. So that's like the elevator pitch, I guess.
That's incredible.
Appreciate you, bro.
That's amazing, man. I don't know how you do it. It's really, and that's something to be very, very amazed by, to say the least. How's the Tinder scene out there?
Bro, I'm not on Tinder. I'm actually, how much should I share? I'm talking with a girl from Austin. Funny enough. And so she's come into my life through this marvelous synchronicity. Maybe you heard I talked about it a little bit on a Telegram voice note YouTube video. Basically, I made an inner decision of like, here's what I want in a relationship. I saw through some illusions. And 10 minutes after that, this was during a Rasha session. I was connecting with like an interdimensional being that was putting false desires in my head. And I said, no, I see through the illusion. This is what I want. I want divine union. And 10 minutes after the session, I get a text from this girl who I'd met once in Austin at a cafe. Like, hey, I watched like a bunch of your YouTube videos. Like, you're inspiring me, blah, blah, blah. And we hopped on the phone, and we've gotten really close in the past month or so. She's really cool. She's like me. She's very similar to me. And I didn't know there would be anybody like that. It's crazy.
It's good to know you'll be back in Austin soon then. That's awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude,
More of an incentive.
That's amazing, man. It's like, wow. Once you kind of set, like you tell the universe how things are going to be, like when you declare like keep me away from the hose. Like as soon as you do
Yeah,
that,
pretty much.
like no hose appear in your reality.
Or they do appear, but that's the test.
Yeah, as a test, but like immediately you get the hodar, the beep, 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 beep. I think so. It's over.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. And so
Thank
yeah, I've had synchronicities like that happen too, and I'm so happy for you, man. And it seems like you're taking it in a way that, like whatever makes of it, you're at peace with, which is just the best way. So that's amazing, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you. And that's also going to be part of the path, right? Like, because now I notice a competitive streak in me of like, I want to start at quarterback, or like an attachment to that outcome, or a need to impress the coaches, right? All these things that were ingrained in me my whole life. Now I'm getting to relive them from a new perspective. So can I come back to peace with, yeah, I'm going to play my heart out, and like, I would love to start at quarterback. It'd be really fun. But in the reality that I don't, I'm still okay. But there's also like, I don't even want to put that potential out there. Like, I'm going to start at quarterback. Let's just hold that as the frame and let's allow that to manifest. But yeah, it's like I'm reliving my high school years as somebody who is now conscious and awake.
That's incredible.
So wild.
Yeah, I love what you said there, because I felt this way a lot too, where if you become at peace with the worst outcome possible, it feels like you're playing a free game. You know? And so if
Mhm.
peace with this all failing, you never starting, whatever it is, or just in life, if you're at peace with death, truly, every moment you're awake feels like a gift and feels like fun. It's like all offense. Really.
All offense. I love that
Like,
frame.
you need a moment of seeing the potential worst case scenario, feeling it, being fully at peace with it, and then from there, it's just like, all right, now I only think best case scenario. Now I'm only going to start. That's the only thing I'm going to think. That's a great place to be. If we can do that for all aspects of life, that's how we create the reality we always wanted. If you start, I'm coming out.
Dude, that'd be so fun. I've had a handful of people say that, and like, that would be so fucking cool. That'd be awesome.
Well, it's funny. It's crazy. A lot of things are lining up for me to go to Chicago right now. Not move there, but just visit often.
Tell me more, if you're willing to share.
Yeah, one I'll keep kind of behind the scenes, but like Elle and I are going to be partnering with a few bigger companies for all the services that we're offering in the communities, in person, online, and also the platforms the podcast do. A lot of people have been approaching us to partner with them, sometimes equity deals, to make that happen. And a few of them are based in Chicago. So I'd come visit every once in a while. And also, my close family friend who I've known since I was born, Zach Collins, he just got traded to Chicago like 2 days ago.
Really?
Now Bulls. Yeah.
I didn't know you were family friends with this guy.
Yeah.
And I didn't know he was on the Bulls now. Oh,
yeah. He's just in the Spurs, funny enough. He's just in the Spurs, like kind of Austin team.
Interesting.
And then now he's there. So I got a few people to see there. So I feel like, especially the business thing, I'll be out there. Elle and I will be the next couple months or so.
Keep me posted. That's really interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. Just things are unfolding all perfectly, of course.
They are. Brother, this has been so fun.
Yeah.
This is something that, I mean, we've already done what? We did one podcast in person in Austin. Is this only the second?
I think that's
interesting.
It.
It feels like
we
we're
going
to
do this more often.
More. Yeah, for sure. For sure. And I really am grateful for you taking the time to do this. Like, almost selfishly, it has brought me so much energy. I'm so grateful. And I'm so excited for you that you have this new studio and just looks amazing. And like the flowers in the background, I was getting pulled into those a good amount. Like, that to me is the symbolism of enlightenment. I don't know if you put that there intentionally, but a flower blooming is how my mind understands the concept of enlightenment.
That's awesome.
So just felt like
I never thought of that. I appreciate that. I never thought of that, but I'm going to take on that belief too. That's awesome. Yeah. Cool.
Fullest expression.
I'm excited for you to be in Austin and us have like a live in-person podcast. That'll be amazing.
It'd be fun.
But yeah, man, let's do this more often. I think much needed for the both of us. I forget this is recording. And so
I know.
It's all just perfect.
I know. Dude, this was so fun. You dropped all your projects you're working on, which I'm super excited to check them out. But last thing, where should people connect with you? Where could they message you? Where could they get in contact with you if they can?
I'm on all the platforms at the Cameron Hogan. the number one platform I spend most of my time on is X. So at the Cameron Hogan on X, I love to write. I'll have these long form essays every handful of days. Besides that, my website, thecameronhogan.com. That's really about it. You'll see me hopefully on YouTube home feed soon if everything's working perfectly. But yeah, you'll find me if you need me, if it feels right. So I trust that, and that's how it's always been. So yeah, I'm just very grateful for this time, Jack, and it's like you're one of my best friends, brother, and I'm really grateful that we can stay in contact. And I'm so proud of you. I literally don't know how you can do it all. Like I can't imagine everything I'm doing because you're kind of also doing that with transcendence and everything else, plus school, plus football, plus other businesses. Like I don't know how, and I'm so glad to have you in my life, knowing that I could keep on doing bigger and better things. And yeah, I love you so much, brother. Truly.
Thank you, brother. I love you too. I really love you so much. Grateful for you.
Yeah. Awesome, man.
All right.